in terms of PMO maturity, the PMO maturity is starting from level 1 to level 5, right? It's starting from, the infant stage to optimal stage. Among all the PMOs, 88% PMOs still operating in level 1. That means they have no defined processes, right? Level 1, 88%. That means
That's
level
crazy.
of the maturity, how long it will take. This is crazy. Trust me, this is crazy. This is one of the business case why we came to this to solve these problems globally, because these PMOs will get matured in next 10 to 20 years. So they need quality contents, they need quality trainers, PMO trainers, they need the good quality solutions. So that's why we are into this particular area to solve problems.
Hi, and welcome to the Sunday Lunch Project Manager podcast for Sunday, the 5th of February 2023. This is your host, Nigel Creaser, and today we have Abdulla Al Mamun, the PMO Global Institute guy. Today, I'd like to welcome Abdulla Al Mamun to the show. Abdulla is a serial entrepreneur, angel investor, and a passionate project management professional. He is the founder and CEO of PM Aspire Singapore, which is a top-ranked project management solution provider helping professionals in 120 countries and 7 international languages, and has global offices in Singapore, Canada, Bangladesh and UAE. He was awarded the most influential CEO of 2018 by the Corporate Vision magazine of the UK. His company, PM Aspire, ranked among the top 30 fastest growing companies in the Asia Pac region. And in addition, PM Aspire has won National ICT Awards of 2018 and 2019 for e-learning practices and AI-based PMO software. Abdulla has also created an AI character called Ali, which is a AI intelligence for PMO software. Abdulla's company, PM Aspire, is one of the unique companies in the world offering the entire project management suite, a one-stop service for project management. And recently, I'm saying it's recently I heard about it, Abdulla is also founder and CEO of the PMO Global Institute, which is a certification body for PMO certifications, and he's on a mission to make PMO education available in 200 countries. Abdulla, welcome to the show.
Wow, the nicest introduction ever, Nigel. Thank you very much. Big ups to you.
No problem. No problem. It's great to have you on the show. Do you want to just give us a little bit more background, a little richer background from the back of that, where you're from, that sort of thing?
Yeah. So I started my career in quite long back in 2000, early 2000, right? My family used to live in the country called Kuwait, and we moved around here and there, and finally settled down in Singapore. And so that's almost like 15 years driving this, professional journey as well as the career, and that's almost like last 8 years into this entrepreneurship journey. So within these 8 years, it has been a quite long journey. Also, we have now around 8 companies with 3 big, flagship companies, and one of them you have already mentioned is PM Global Institute, and one of the technology company we have is PM Aspire Singapore, which is actually helping all these different companies with the technologies and the project management solutions. Yeah.
Brilliant. So today really the area that we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the PMO Global Institute. That's the bit I want to get into. But it's quite interesting. It's kind of the fact that you're an entrepreneur and angel investor and that sort of thing. How do you want to talk a little bit about that? About what made you want to be an entrepreneur? What made you want to start businesses? And obviously, as an investor, what do you look for in opportunities?
That's a very good question, Nigel. So, I was a sales guy in my professional career, right?
Right, yeah.
And I'm a business graduate, majoring in finance and minor in marketing. And I worked for many local and international companies and multinational companies in different business development and sales roles, right? So once it's a very interesting connection with sales with project management. Once I become the country manager and playing these big roles, so I had to actually bring a lot of projects as a salesperson. Once these projects were coming like $1 million projects, then I had to get involved with the project management that get this delivery, then get the payments, get this delivery, get the payments, right? So then I really started liking the field of project management. I'm talking about the journey of 2009-10, right? Then I realized, oh my God, there are people who are PMP certified, they are managing projects, and they are making big, but they are actually doing good career, and also they're making a lot of money. Then I realized, why not I give it a try? Yeah, I'm a good speaker. Some people say, I can speak in front of people. And I thought, let me give it a try and see if I can, share this project management learning with the audience. So then I did my PMP and become a trainer. And then realize, oh my God, there is a huge opportunity in project management field in terms of e-learning, in terms of solution and technologies, right? Since I had this, technology background and sales background, I found this niche in project management. So then we set up, I gave up my big multinational jobs and, big corporate careers and started my entrepreneurship journey because I saw there is a huge gap locally and globally, and that was the era of cloud-based system, software as a service kind of model, right?
Yeah.
It's no longer this typical way of installations. And if you have a cloud-based system, you have a software as a service kind of model, you can sell globally, any parts in the world, as long as you can actually promote your products and services, right? So then we started working on developing the products. In 2014, we launched our first exam simulation platform in English for project management, then agile project management. Then we created a platform which is now available in almost like 7 languages, right? We have like more than 120,000 users, more than 100 countries.
Wow.
And in fact, we also try to understand that, how we can influence in this particular project management world. And we figured out that those who are trainers, project management consultants, training companies, they could be a big influencer into this field. So we made them partners. So in under PMO Aspire, we have like 600 plus global partners, right? They are using, our technology platforms and system to educate their students and their communities, right? So that was the early stage journey where, we figured out a big gap in this e-learning space in project management, very niche in project management. We tried to cover it up. Then rest is journey actually. Then it's entrepreneurship is more like a journey where you start working on a street and you figure out there are new paths are there, the new gaps are there. So and entrepreneurs are always risk takers. So so now we have like almost 8 companies in our group, and really enjoying this particular journey. Yes.
Brilliant. Yeah, I can see. It's interesting because there is. I'm quite often approached by people via LinkedIn messages saying, do you want a PMP certificate? Do you want an Agile certificate? Do you want to do all these different things? Which I find quite interesting because it's that usual thing, isn't it? Is if there's a lot of people trying to do it, there tends to be quite a big demand. And I know that when I started back in 2002, when I got my PMP, there was Cheetah Learning, there was Rita. There's 3 or 4. There was 3 or 4 ways that you could learn PMP. There was
yes.
very, very small amount, and it was at the sort of the internet was just about starting, if you like, in some ways, and the idea of doing virtual training and that sort of stuff was quite weird then to think if that would happen now. And I know I saw something. I'm trying to think when it might have been a couple of years ago now, and I've seen it repeated a couple of times from PMI, where they're talking about the demand in 2030 and 2040 for project managers and in skills, and all they can see is it just zooming up and getting higher and higher, and I can see that we've got the need for this training, and more accessibility to the training. So obviously from a business opportunity point of view, I can see how that would be an appealing point of view. So it's quite interesting that the way that you're doing it and the fact that you're getting that reach there is, I suppose the question I ask, and this isn't a criticism, is how do you see it different from that virtual learning to that face-to-face learning? How do you see the pros and cons? Because there's pros and cons on both sides, isn't there? But I think focusing really on having that rounded project manager walking out of your course, virtually walking out your course, and I know that actually just because you've got a certification doesn't mean you're good at doing the job. But how do you see the differences there in the pros and cons?
It's a very good question, Nigel. So recently, we had a meeting with a couple of big corporates, right? So they wanted to incorporate our, PMO certification into their programs, right? And they said, we'd like to actually, promote your certification because they're a really big company, through our big, 2,000 network of partners. And we'd like to have these, certification programs in, what do you call it, recorded version, so that people can buy the, recorded version and they can actually go to, take preparation for the certification. We said no. We said, yeah, if you say, virtual learning has a couple of ways. And number one is virtual learning. You can have actually a live instructor trainer. There are many tools out there where you can make the sessions very engaging. Right, so live instructor trainer is also part of virtual learning. Another one is the typical one is that you record the training and the participants basically watch those videos and take preparations, right? Because myself, I'm a trainer. I have trained more than 5,000 people around the world, both in business, project management, and PMOs. Okay, and I always say this that when it comes to quality, when it comes to learning, effective learning, live instructor training is there's no alternative of it. Because if most of our learning, that's even the PMO certifications that we have, it's very much hands-on driven, case study driven. Like we'll be giving the students this is how you need to prepare a PMO roadmap. This is a template, and this is how you should do it. Do it as a group, then give the presentation. And it is also connected with the case study. So it's more like, very practical approach of doing it. If it is like, recorded version, how do you have this interaction with the team and, with the instructor? It's not possible, right? Yeah. Yes, but, my always recommendation is that, go for live instructor training first. Then if you need to recall the memories, then go for this recorded version, which is also fine, right? So as a trainer, I always prefer, it could be live training classroom, it could be live training online, but the live instructor training is no alternative. As a trainer, I would say. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Yeah. So it's kind of getting the best of both worlds, isn't it, really, in some ways? Because as you say, you've got that interaction, but you've got that ability to review and go over it again to remind yourself on that. Whereas sometimes I've done a really good stakeholder management course, strategic planning course a couple of weeks ago. Really enjoyed it, learnt a lot of interaction with the people I was doing with it. But now the memories are softened on what we did in the session, and it's only a couple of weeks ago. There are things in there I remember, and I've got no opportunity to go back over that other than the booklet. Whilst good booklet got useful information in there, going back over what we actually did in the session is quite difficult to do. So I can see how that makes a massive difference. So that's really interesting. Really interesting. So I suppose moving on from that, you mentioned I mentioned in the introduction your AI tool, Ali, is it? And I just wonder, tell us about that. How did that come about? Why did that come about?
Oh, it's an interesting story actually. Yeah, right. So, as I told you, my first company is PMO Aspire. So it's a tech company. And as I also mentioned, that we didn't go this typical training path to teach PMP or project management. We wanted to be the technology solution provider for the training companies. So it's not so we had very few competitions in this area because we are giving the simulations, we are giving the training simulator, we are giving the elements platforms, we are giving the certification body platform, so that the training companies can use it, right? So we had a very few competitions in this. So the next one is, once we started communicating and working on project management, the big demand came up for the PMO setup. Okay, because lot of companies, they are actually looking. They were struggling, and I'm talking about year 2015 and 16.
Yeah.
Then we set up another way in PMO Aspire to work on PMO setup projects, right? And we had a fantastic, brilliant team there. Right? So then we set up PMOs in a couple of banks and a couple of registered companies, and we call it the concept called 2PG. Initially what the PMO as a consultant we do, the phase one, we go ahead and do basically do the gap analysis. Then basically we set up the policy, procedures, and governance. Right. So normally we take like 3 to 6 months to complete the phase one.
Yeah.
Then we hand it over to the PMOs that this is your guideline and policy how you should operate your PMO. The gap was, once we started setting up all these PMOs, the big gap globally, the big gap is there was no solution which was designed for PMOs. Right. So there are a lot of project management systems. They are very good in task management. We call it fancy task management. You go there, create tasks in Kanban board, drag and drop, you do it fantastic.
Yeah.
Right?
Make
There
it
are
look
good projects,
pretty.
Yeah, very pretty, very pretty, very pretty. So we call it fancy, project management tools. And very good, you can do, task management. There are Microsoft project, which is very good for scheduling. Right, so there are a lot of other. Jira is very good for agile project management. Again, it's more like a task management, right? But when it comes to PMO, and a lot of our projects, PMO projects were failing in long run. Why I say failing? Because these were not sustainable. Once we handed it over, then it was not sustainable because the sponsors and the PMOs, they couldn't continue it. Maybe because the top management didn't realize the value of the PMO. And one of the big reasons is that they were not using technologies to generate their reports, right? And many of the PMOs, they were having like 4 or 5 systems. They're using Jira, they're using Microsoft Project, they're using PowerPoints, they're using Excel to create all these, the portfolio reports that they need to submit to their management. So then I went ahead with a lot of technology companies, the project management solution companies in 2016. I said, can we have a partnership? Yeah, so yes, they said, yeah, we can have the partnership. And I said, but I have conditioned that you need to add these new features into your project management system because your current project management system is not aligned with the need of PMO. It's good for project management, but not designed for PMO, right? So it will not serve the purpose. And many of them actually, they didn't actually, didn't buy my proposal, right?
Yeah.
Then we realized that, we are a software company. We understand project management. We understand PMO. So then in 2017, we took a big call. I, as the CEO, took a big call that now we are going to create our own system. Yeah. Then it was always bear in mind. Once we design the whole PMO, what do you mean by PMO solution? That, for example, the PMO suite we have is designed actually for the PMOs. Like we have like 4 type of roles. Like we have the master sponsor, we have the sponsor role, we have the manager role, and the user role, right? And you can actually manage hybrid project, agile project, waterfall projects, even the portfolio management you can have. That was the phase 1 of the project. And phase 2, in 2018, we started working on what are the typical challenge for PMOs and project managers in project management? Number one, you see, normally we say that risk has no holidays, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this has no holidays. Now let's say someone has registered risk in the middle of the night, and Mr. X, probably the sponsor of the project, is accountable for this particular risk, and he's sleeping. And this is a very severe risk. If you do not address this risk within the next couple of hours, that will become an issue. So, do you expect your team members to be live for 24 hours and responsible? No. Why not? We thought, why not we use the technology to give this kind of reminders, right? So that's why we created Ellie. Ellie is a virtual assistant for PMOs and project managers. So
Right.
Ellie, what she'll do, she will keep giving call to the sponsor. Doesn't matter what time it is, because it's a severe risk. If you do not address it right now, that will become an issue. This is one. Number two, recently I have another signature sessions called How AI Drives PMO, with practical simulation actually, right, that we have invented. So number two case study I can tell you, think of the situation. If project managers spend a lot of time creating the tasks, milestones, subtasks, allocating time and everything to create the WBS, right? It's the manual approach. You write the WBS.
Yep.
Why not Ellie helps you create your data? Right?
Yeah.
Think of
Sounds that sounds if someone could help me write a project plan when I need to pull one together instead of me having to think about it, I'd love it. Even if it was just a start point. Yeah.
Yeah, a couple of ways you can do it. Number one, you can give the instructions, Ellie, do this, do this, do this. Ellie creates the WBS for you, right? This is a voice command. Number two is that you can ask Ellie, find out similar project we have done in last 5 years.
Yeah.
Ellie does the research for you. She finds the relevant project and create the WBS based on the last projects. That saves you time. Right? Another case is related is that one of the big mistakes many of the PMOs we do, we don't capture lessons learned and we don't learn from our lessons learned.
Yeah.
Every time we reinvent the wheel when it comes to lessons learned, we do try to do the same mistakes again and again. This is called machine learning. What Ellie is doing, she's learning. We have a lessons learned, form in our system, right? So where you put what are the things you have done in this particular milestone, what are the mistakes you have done in this particular task, what are the mistakes you have done in this kind of project, that kind of project, right? So now what Ellie is doing, she is learning that this kind of project, this kind of task, this kind of mistakes, our team members normally do. She's learning in the back. And we call it actually machine learning, right? So she's learning, now she's creating this pattern, right? Okay, so now how this pattern helps? Next time you are creating a WBS, you're saying that milestone 1, task 1, and you are confused, this task 1, maybe PMP training someone will do, or PMO training someone will do. PMO training is one of the tasks. Then Ellie will come up and say, all right, this kind of task was done 10 times before. Right?
Yeah.
And this is the history that Mr. X success rate is 30%, 40%, 50%, 60%. Now you choose for this particular task, who would be your right resource? And you say, go for Mr. Y. And she selects the right resource for this particular project based on the historical learning. Right? So I can give you 10 more real life scenarios how AI actually really operating, how Ellie is actually helping our project managers and PMOs to create their the reports, WBS, and managing their projects. Right? Yes, nice.
It's a fascinating topic. I know I've had over the years a couple of conversations with different people around how we can use AI. I know it's in project management. I think PMO is slightly different as well. You kind of got different demands there. And I know I'm talking to a little bit with the Major Projects Association with Jonathan and Andrew in that area, where I think they're looking at cross-industry knowledge to help with these big projects where things go wrong. How do we learn from each of them? And I think this is a massive hole that it's really hard to fill the hole in, to be honest, because you can remember what you learnt in a project. You can even be really good at recording it all the way through your project. then it's mining it, then it's using that data and being able to understand how that applies to your next project. And I know that some of the stuff that Shark Tower are doing, that Craig Mackay was working with, they were looking at some AI stuff on how you can, and some of the AI reporting, things like that. And I know, talking to Ricardo Vargas, he has something similar again, but he's trying to look cross organisation rather than, I say similar, it's the concept's similar, rather than being organisational. Because the difficulty I've seen is that, you're right, we write lessons learned, we find them out, great, and then they go in a drawer or they go up on a board somewhere, and some of the people involved in it might remember it, that, oh God, we've got one like this, yeah, let's use this. But that doesn't always happen. And the thing that I find as well, and I don't know what your thoughts on this are, we're very insular. We're in our own echo chamber because it's our own organisations learning. Now, we might learn to do that differently, great. But actually, if we were able to draw upon industry knowledge, there might be another better way to do it. And I wonder how you I assume Ali is kind of aimed at an organisation, and you put it together rather than joining it in this big beast, because I know the issues of joining it, all of that knowledge and helping all of us is quite difficult. Sort of security and data protection, all that sort of thing. But what are your thoughts about that sort of wider rollout?
Well, you see, AI, this exploration will continue, I think another couple of decades, like in next 20, 30 years. It's not a one-day journey. Because there are a lot of new ways we can actually, innovate and explore and use, AI into this project management work, right? So it was surprising that, there was not much work done in AI in project management. AI is very advanced in many of other industries, but somehow in project management probably that was waiting for us to actually explore it, right? So I think it's a continuous learning approach for AI, herself, because and takes it may take years, and there are a couple of case studies. I mean, a use case we are working on. I think it will give us results after 2 years. Yeah, so it's not again, that's because a lot of investment. Different industries requires, you are absolutely correct, different industries requires different kind of learning patterns for AI. So I believe that, it's started working. I'm not sure how many companies, actually tech companies, are still working only in project management AI. We are one of them. But I see, next 3 to 5 years is going to be a big revolution in project management if we keep investing in this particular domain, right? And that will become easy. The concept is very simple. Many of them say that because of AI, job market will crash, people will lose job. I don't think so, because on the other hand, if I talk about in terms of PMO maturity, the PMO maturity is starting from level 1 to level 5, right? It's starting from, the infant stage to optimal stage. Among all the PMOs, 88% PMOs still operating in level 1. That means they have no defined processes, right? Level 1, 88%. That means
that's
level
crazy.
Of the maturity, how long it will take. This is crazy. Trust me, this is crazy. This is one of the business case why we came to this to solve these problems globally, because these PMOs will get matured in next 10 to 20 years. So they need quality contents, they need quality trainers, PMO trainers, they need the good quality solutions. So that's why we are into this particular area to solve problems.
Thank you to Abdulla for that first part of that interview, and come back next week and have a listen to the second part. Cheers now, bye. So this is my final wrap up. Every week you're going to hear this, you're going to get bored of it, but you can always click next podcast if so. If you have enjoyed it, if you listened to this podcast to the end of this show and you think, that was great, I'd love to be able to help Nigel out, there are loads of ways you can do it. The first and obvious way is to share the podcast, send it out to people. If you know colleagues and friends who'd benefit from it, you think they'd enjoy it, just send them the link. Grab one of the links, or send them to www.nigelcreaser.com/podcasts. That's www.nigelcreaser.com/podcasts, and that will push them over to a Linktree link, and it's got all of the different ways they can consume the podcast. If you are feeling generous and have a big bag of cash, you could grab a copy of one of my books. Obviously, they're available in all the usual places, in print and digital. Again, jump on the website, www.nigelcreaser.com/shop, and that will give you a list of all the different ways that you can contribute and grab copies of the book. Also got links to all my guests' books on there as well, where I get a little bit of a kickback from them. If you are of a sporting mind, I have a number through doing some of my judo and running antics. I've managed to secure a few affiliate links and affiliates there as well. So in there, somewhere in the sponsors page, there's links to those as well. So clicking onto those and grabbing if you're looking to get super fit, then that would be fabulous as well, and I get a little kickback from those. I have a Patreon account. It's patreon.com/sundaylunchpm. So again, you can ping something in there, buy me a coffee or whatever. And finally, obviously the most important is coming back, listen again, because the more of you that come back, the more visibility I get, because there's more times that it's downloaded and all the SEO works and things like that. So yeah, that's it. So if you can help me out, I would be much appreciated. If you can't, don't worry about it. Thank you very much. Cheers now. Bye. Well, it's goodbye from me, Nigel Creaser, and it's goodbye from him, the Sunday Lunch PM. Goodbye.